in 2006, I accidentally overdosed. So basically, I had a drug problem. I have this I'm not good enough, so I have to constantly perform.
We call it the backpack, right?
Yeah.
This big backpack was still on your back where you were carrying all this stuff.
That voice that has been with me for over 40 years is now gone.
In less than 10 minutes, we're going to get rid of a lifetime of shit.
All of a sudden, I was like, oh my God, who am I? I don't even know who I am without this voice.
I don't coach you. We just reprogram you.
Yeah. So much of what's going on right now in the world is because we have leaders who are leading with their trauma. The backpack is no longer on my shoulders.
Welcome to the Legit Mindset Podcast, Failures, Lessons, and Breakthroughs. I'm Curtis McCullom, your host, certified clinical hypnotherapist, and the founder of Bespoke Human Potential Coaching. Here we dive into real stories, challenges, and comebacks where leaders share the setbacks that shape them and the growth that follows. Because real success isn't about avoiding failure. It's about transforming through it. And that is the Legit Mindset. And today, I have a special guest on the show today. I mean, really special. Me and Kerry actually met back in November. I was on her show where we shared and had a wonderful time. And she agreed to come to the show today, my show. And then we're going to go back to her show again and kind of have another discussion. But Kerry, just a little bit about Kerry before we actually get into the conversation. I'm telling you guys, you want to stay tuned to this conversation. It's going to really change your life. I mean, oh my God, I'm so excited about it. But Kerry, she's the CEO and founder of StoneAge Employee. It's an employee-owned manufacturing company in Colorado. Since 2023, I thought it was longer, Kerry.
No. I have, the company, I didn't actually found it. I took over for the founders. So I've been running the company for 20 years.
Okay.
So the company,
I mean,
yeah. 2023 was just a really big year for me because that was when my first book came out and I won CEO of the year
okay.
and
All right.
Entrepreneur of the year and all those things. But
Yeah.
Yes,
I'm
yes.
like,
No,
I'm
but
like, I know
we're an
it's been
old
looking at
company.
that. Yeah, I thought so. I thought I'm like 2023. I'm like, no. But okay. In 2023, that's when you were EY's Entrepreneur of the Year and the Colorado CEO of the Year, and basically, then you said then they led to significant transitions while building a dynamic culture from kind of employee-owned type thing.
Yeah.
And then your first book was The Ownership Mindset.
Yep.
And then now you have another book coming out, Talk with Trust, coming out later this year.
In August.
But yeah, in August. So Kerry, this is the thing about me and Kerry, right? Kerry, is that I went on her podcast about an hour or so on a podcast, and then we met again. I think let me look at my notes to make sure I don't want to mess up here. We met on the listen to her podcast too. Is the Reflect Forward podcast, especially that November when I was on there. It was a great
You should include
episode.
that in the show notes, and then that way people can go listen to it easily.
Yeah, they need to go listen to that. But and then she agreed. I gave her offer to come and do a values and alignment session with me in February, which was about an hour. And she did it. And then obviously when we went through that session, we said, wow, Kerry, we need to work together, and we did. And we did a breakthrough on April 6th, which you'll know a little bit about it as we go through the show, but it's about a 3-hour session that we did. And then we did a calibration session the day after on the 7th, another 3 hours. And then we've been working now for five one-on-one sessions now, including the value session, about a total of 12 hours together.
Yep.
But before we get into that, Kerry, I want to jump the gun, but that's kind of our relationship together. But I'm telling you, it's much deeper than that. If you don't know me, one of my number one values is connecting from the heart, which me and Kerry just have this relationship now where we're both growing at the same time because, I'm facilitating her transformation, but at the same time, I'm transforming and learning and expanding too. But before we get into that, kind of share with the audience a little bit about where you are now and talk to them a little bit so they can love you as much as I do, Kerry. Go
Aw,
ahead.
thank you. I love you too. I know. It's been so much fun working with you and getting to know you and I so appreciate your support through my transformation. So, as I mentioned, I've been running StoneAge for about 20 years. I started when I was 28. And I had no idea how to run a company. The founders were looking for someone to take over for them, and they took this huge risk and hired me because I was a cultural fit, because they thought they could mold me into what they wanted for their company instead of hiring somebody with more experience who might come in and dramatically change the company. Which, of course, I've dramatically changed the company, but that's just part of life, right? Change is
Right.
always inevitable. So it's been such a journey, and the reason that I was hired at the age of 28 to take over this small manufacturing company and grow it into a global powerhouse now is because I have been so good at performing and proving and achieving and driving to outcomes and really just was focused on success, on my
Right.
success, and then eventually my team's success. And being part of an employee-owned company is really has been such an expanding, wonderful thing that has allowed me to see beyond myself. But when you're in your 20s, you're super focused on yourself. And all of that performing, improving, and overachieving, as I've been called, has led to a lot of great things, but it's also led to a lot of heartache and damaged relationships, mostly with myself.
Right.
And as I'm getting ready for this next phase of my career, I'm 47. And after you've been a CEO for almost 2 decades, you start to go, I don't want to be a CEO forever. What comes next? And it's this realization that I am about to make another identity shift. I've made at least two in my life, if not more, of major identity shifts, and I'm getting prepared for this next one. And I want my relationship with ambition to change. I don't want to be driven by this idea of I'm not good enough, so I have to always prove and
Right.
perform and be the hardest worker and take on the most and be responsible for everyone and everything. And so when I met you, I was in the middle of figuring this out about myself, and I thought, "Oh, I have this I'm not good enough, so I have to constantly perform narrative programming that has been in me since I was a little girl, probably from past lives as well. I know from past lives as well. And I want it gone. I don't want this to be what drives my life. And so that is where I am today working with Curtis, and that voice that has been with me for over 40 years is now gone. We're working through the echoes as Curtis calls them. And it has been so incredibly profound. One of the most amazing few weeks that I've gone through in my life, because it's been so fast. Usually like transformations like this can take years, and we've done this in 12 hours, as Curtis explained.
I mean, you think about 12 hours, it's like really, really short. But it's
Yeah.
interesting, though, Carrie, when you look at it, most successful CEOs like you, right?
Mhm.
You had the success, you've had the expansions, you tried all the strategies, you did all the things right. But at the same time, the drag, we call it the backpack, right?
Yeah.
This big backpack was still on your back where you were carrying all this stuff. And that's kind of what we started to work with. So share a little bit more, define what was actually was your drag? What was you were actually struggling with? You mentioned at high level, but
Yeah.
kind of get a little granular there as far as what you were actually going through there.
Yeah. So my biggest challenge, as Curtis puts it, when you go through the initial session, is I'm not good enough. Now,
Right.
my I'm not good enough doesn't come from a self-esteem issue. I've got lots of confidence. It comes from worrying about what others think of me and feeling that I always need to perform, that I always need to prove myself, that I am responsible for everything and everyone around me. And so it was exhausting. And I went through a divorce in 2025, and I wanted to be out of that marriage for a long time, but I felt responsible for my ex-husband.
Right.
And after going through the divorce, after we split up, I started to realize like this is not healthy, and I'm enabling behaviors in myself and in others that I don't really want. I don't want to be responsible for other people. I want them to be responsible for themselves, and I want to be responsible for me.
Right.
And so that was the biggest thing. And this spills into not only my relationship with myself, but my relationship with my employees, my personal relationships, my romantic relationships, and it spills over into my relationship with money. And
Right.
so that is all this combination of basically I think that the effort is required for everything. I did. If I'm not working hard, if I'm not taking care of everything, if I'm not constantly proving, if I'm not working 60, 70, 80 hours a week, if I'm not taking care of everything at home, then I'm going to fail. I'm not going to be successful. I'm going to let other people down. I'm going to let myself down. People are going to see me as incapable or not as a successful person. And that was my biggest problem. And so it caused me to constantly move and go and drive and achieve. And I'm tired of it. And so that's what the real fundamental issue is. But it stems from this I'm not good enough, so I have to prove myself.
Wow. And think about a lot of other CEOs feel the same way. I mean, they've held, we've all been on this grind now for like
Yeah.
20-year plus. And those are the
Yeah.
guys who I noticed that really come work with me. Now, I know before you work with me, you've done a lot of stuff.
Hmm.
I mean, and you still do stuff on top of my stuff.
Hmm.
But share with the audience a little bit, what have you been trying now? Because you said this has been trailing you for about 40 years,
Yeah.
but it's gone now. So what other things have you tried or done that didn't work as well or brought you to this point where you are now?
Yeah, I think that's a really good way to put it. It brought me to this point where I was ready for you.
Right.
So so in 2006, I accidentally overdosed on a cocktail of illicit substances, and so basically, I had a drug problem, and overdosing was my rock bottom, and it was when I said, okay, I have to understand why I'm making the decisions that I make because even though I had substance abuse issues, I was still I was still successful. I was still driving. I was climbing the corporate ladder. I just had this dual life. And when my mom asked me, "Why are you doing these things?" I was like, "I don't know. I don't understand why I'm making the decisions I'm making." And
Right.
so I knew I needed to start figuring that out. So my very first thing that I did back in 2006, 2007 is I started jumping into personality assessments because they were free. I was broke. I knew I probably needed therapy. I refused to go to rehab, but I needed a way to start to understand myself better. So I started with the Myers Briggs and DISC and Strengths Finder, and then I found the Enneagram.
Right.
I'm a huge proponent of the Enneagram. I met a life coach who works with the Enneagram, and I did this deep dive into understanding my triggers, my behaviors, what happens when I'm in a low level of health as a 3, which is an achiever in the Enneagram. And I started to really understand myself. And
Mm.
that has been what has been so transformational because I can do all of this work around understanding myself and visualizing myself becoming the person that I want to be, working on a conscious level, realizing like, of course, I'm enough. But at the
Right.
subconscious level, it was still there. And that's why this has been so transformational because I understand myself really well. I understand myself probably better than most humans
Oh, I
understand
agree.
themselves. But I didn't know how to get rid of the voice. And
Wow.
that's what has been this next step.
Wow. And now we met on your podcast, and what was it about what I said, or why did you decide to work with me? I mean, there's hundreds of you probably, I think you said even on your podcast, a lot of coaches
Private.
come
Yeah.
through.
Yeah.
I mean, but why did you decide to work with Curtis?
Oh, it's your energy. I'm very sensitive about people's energy, and I trust my body when it's like this person is somebody you need to know, and we just clicked. Even though we've never met each other in person, we were just filming on an hour long during an hour long conversation. I knew there was something really interesting about you because just the dynamic of the conversation. I am an exceptional communicator. That's my gift. I'm here to
Right.
activate with my voice, both written and spoken, at scale. And so when I connect with people through a conversation, I know when there's something that's special that's there. And so that's what, it was in the back of my mind. It was percolating in the back of my mind of like, it might be interesting to work with Curtis. And then when you offered the values assessment, I was like, if the universe was saying, hey, here's this opportunity to make it happen and check it out and see without having to do a big full blown session when I
Right.
wasn't really sure the details of how you worked. We talked a lot about the legit mindset and really understanding your subconscious mind on my podcast, but I didn't know the whole process that you took people through. So you made it really easy and maybe it was like a low barrier to entry
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
to be able to come and do that work with you. And then when we did the values exercise, and I will be honest with you, at first I was a little bit like, oh, I don't know if I want to do a values exercise. I do this all the time. But we got into it, and as you started to talk through the process, I was like, "Oh, yeah, this is exactly what I need." And I really do understand that values is the foundation of everything, where you
Right.
have to understand your values and set your subconscious mind with your values so that you're choosing your values instead of choosing against your values because that subconscious mind, the dictator is in there going, "No, no, 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 don't pay attention to that." You know? You're not going to win if you are, live with integrity. You're not
Right.
going to get ahead if you don't constantly work. And so I could see how it went together. So that's how it was, but it really started with our chemistry, the energy that we had, and you just like, I could tell that you were a person I could trust, and that you had just this interesting approach. So that's why I worked with you, and you made it really easy for me to do so.
Yeah, I mean, that's the whole idea. I mean, I think one of the values people don't understand their values. If you're not done a values thing, that is a low barrier way to come to meet me
Mhm.
and kind of work with me. But what it is, values is your deepest level of programming
Yeah.
that most people have never really stopped to say, okay, what's really important to me when it comes to your career? And we've begun to come through a couple of iterations of yours, and
Yeah.
we've landed on some powerful things. And maybe we might get to that or not, but before we go there, share with them about the process. I mean,
Yeah.
because I tell people a little bit about the legit mindset and like, okay, are you like every other coach? I'm like, no, I'm not really a coach. I'm
Mhm.
not. I have to call myself a coach so you didn't understand what I do, but explain to them. Starting with, I guess we could start a little bit. Share a little about the values, and then we move into the 1 day mindset reset. Kind of share with them what the
Yeah.
process was like for you.
Yeah, absolutely. So the values exercise was really powerful. And I do think it's important to talk about the process of redefining them because I did. And
Right.
it's so important to understand your values and make sure that you're really clear on it. So don't just go through it and go, okay, I've got it. Like analyze it and spend some time with it because I came back and told Curtis the values that we came up with, they're close, but they're not exactly right. So that's really important. Then during the first session, we really explored what that big your greatest challenges, right? The I am not
Yes.
enough, and that's really important because that voice that main problem it sets the tone for everything else, and it has different tendrils as I have learned over the past few weeks that come up and sneak in and try to like hook you and get you back in. And so we went through that I am not enough. And then I really loved the reset. So basically you go take these emotions and you go back into the first time you've had that experience, and Curtis walks you through a process to then release that and set a new path forward with more positive, as he calls it, moving towards language. And it was so powerful. And a couple of them we didn't quite get. And so I was like, nope, I'm still feeling this. And I just trusted what my body was telling me. So we did it again until it really truly felt gone. And we got done with that session and I was like, okay, well, that seemed really easy. And I didn't really feel like I was like in this, hypnotic state that you imagine, like, on stage doing like crazy things that somebody's telling you to do. I have since learned that that's not actually what, most hypnosis is. But I was like, okay, well, we're going to see how this worked. And I got done. I texted Curtis after that first day and I was like, "Oh my gosh, I feel so good. I feel amazing. I feel elated. Like it's just gone." And then we did the second day where we did a little bit deeper work in really setting that foundation and it was amazing. And then 3 days later, all of a sudden I was like, "Oh my god, who am I? I don't even know who I am without this voice." It was so noticeably absent. I had no idea how constant it was in my life. Just this
Wow.
little chatter that's there. And when it's gone, all of a sudden, I felt like a piece of me was gone. It was like, who am I without this constant need to prove? To perform, to achieve, to make sure people think that I'm amazing and the best at everything. And so I had to grieve a little bit for that version of me that was now gone. And that surprised me. I didn't realize I was going to have such an emotional response to that voice being gone. And when I met with Curtis for our first coaching session after the transformation sessions, he's like, "That's not uncommon." Like you do have to let go of that version of you, and now the goal is to not fill the space with a different voice because you're
Right.
so used to having that voice there. And so that's been the bulk of the work that we have done. And now we're building into who I'm becoming because that old version of me is gone. And I am incredibly grateful for that version of me because it got me to where I am today. And I was doing the best that I could with what I had. And now I'm so excited because I can let go of that with gratitude, with grace, with love for that version of myself, and be okay with not having that voice anymore. But it is changing my relationship with ambition and it is changing my relationship with success and effort because now I want to live with creativity and alignment and trust. And that is a very different feeling than how I've lived the first 47 years of my life. And so now I'm leaning into what this new version of me, this version that I want to become, that I am becoming, that I am right now embodying, through this next process. But yeah, that's what it was like for me in those first couple of weeks.
Yeah, I mean, you talked. What she was actually describing, guys, is that what we do is find out what the greater problem is, and for
Mhm.
her, that was her greater problem. And then everybody has a greater problem, but there are issues that are linked to that problem that actually drives their behavior. So once we find out what the greater problem is, and we did, and we got rid of it, and talk a little bit about the MER session within itself, because people won't believe. I tell people all the time in less than 10 minutes, we're going to get rid of a lifetime of, I'm just going to say it, a lifetime of shit. Right. And it's less than 10 minutes. People don't believe that. Share with them that when we actually did an MER on anger, we'll just go with anger. How was that like for you?
Yeah, so it was a really interesting process, and so and you might have to describe it if I don't get it exactly right, but you feel that feeling, and you go back to the first memory that you have of that feeling. So,
Right.
anger actually for me came from a past life or a parallel life, and so I went back to that, and you feel it, and then you zoom in on yourself, and then you zoom away from yourself so that you can see yourself like as this like person just having this experience, but it's not
Right.
necessarily you. And then Curtis walks you through a process of resetting that you can let that go. So instead of I'm angry that this happened, it made me feel this way, you tell your subconscious mind like I am safe, and your subconscious mind tells you like this is what is needed. So I feel safe, I feel confident, I trust, whatever it is that helps you process that first memory of what happened. And then you walk yourself forward and you look backwards and you're like, do you still feel that? And if it's yes, then you didn't get it. And he walks you through the process again. And if you did, then you do a couple different things with your eyes to reset it. And then all of a sudden you feel so much better. It's like not there anymore. and, and I was really surprised because as we walked through anger, shame, fear, we did worry. Worry was a
Right.
really big one for me. So I asked Curtis to add worry into it. And I think guilt was another one.
Yeah.
Each of the memories, sometimes they surprise me. I thought knew, oh, this is going to be the memory that comes up. But when I really just trusted my soul to say, this is what you need to, this is actually when that first memory happened. If you just trust what your mind and your body and your soul is telling you, you usually get it right. I think there was only one that we had to go back to redo. I was like, I didn't get it all. And that was the anger
Right.
one. So yeah, it's a great process. It was a fascinating process. I've never done anything like that it before.
Yeah, and the whole idea is kind of what she's explaining, guys. When we do the MER, basically we ask what is the root cause, the first
Yeah.
event that actually happened. And she's so right is that you have to allow yourself to let your subconscious mind tell you when that feeling actually happened.
Yeah.
And one of the key things here is that you may not remember the actual event itself. Some events you don't see and some you do, but you may not see it, but you do feel it somewhere in the body. And that's kind of what she's sharing with you is that whatever the subconscious mind comes up with, you allow yourself to see it. Now, what she's also talking about is the learning. One thing about the subconscious mind is that once you get a learning, it allows itself to release the energy that's connected to that emotion. And that's why she said we got a new learning from it. And we make sure that the learning is not negative, it's not
Mhm.
blaming. It's like, my mom did this to me and that's why I'm feeling this way. No, it's like now I'm looking at this new event as, oh, I'm powerful, I'm confident, I'm I'm safe, I'm okay. Right. And those are new learnings. And then we give your subconscious those learnings to all the events that felt that similar emotion or feeling all the way back to now, which is a powerful thing. And the beauty part about it is less than 10 minutes, unless she said, oh, I didn't get it. So we went back another 2 or 3 minutes and we got it. And that's what it was. So now, kind of fast forwarding a little bit, Kerry, tell them about your results, kind of a little bit more about your results now, because you've had some results that have kind of fanned it out, not only from you, but for your son and for your relationships. A little bit about it. Share with them about your results now.
Yeah, I think the biggest result and the most important one is my relationship with myself. I am letting go of so much negative self-talk, and it's not a self-confidence thing. In fact, both my mom and one of my employees were just like, "How could you feel like you were not enough?" And it wasn't like something that they were doing, and it wasn't this self-confidence issue. It was this constant like beating myself up for I'm not doing enough, I'm not working hard enough, I'm going to lose everything if I don't keep up this pace. And so having that voice gone and trusting myself more and not pushing myself so hard and letting things flow, it has been this like the backpack, the way you describe it, the backpack is no longer on my shoulders. And that feels so good. And how that feel good has this ripple effect in how I'm showing up in my relationships and in my work. And so things are just flowing so much easier. I just had this great opportunity come to me just this week and was like, oh, yeah, this is in alignment with some of my wealth creation goals. And look at it, it just popped up out of nowhere. How amazing. I didn't have to work for it. And you know what? To take advantage of it, I'm not going to have to work. It's amazing.
Right.
It doesn't, like a success and wealth creation does not have to equal effort. And so I'm seeing all of these opportunities just kind of popping up into my life. And then saying, does this feel in alignment or does it not? And if it doesn't feel in alignment, then no, it's a no. And if it does, then I'm saying yes because I'm trusting myself. I'm not going through this like, oh, but if you do this, if you put this money into it, what if you lose it? Or,
Right.
if you focus on this instead of on this, what are people going to think of you? So it has just been this internal pressure that has been released, which feels so amazing. My nervous system is in such a much better place, which allows me to receive more, to be more open, to hear things more clearly, to see things more clearly, because I don't have that voice that's distorting reality. I
Right.
am creating my reality. And so it's been so much fun. And we've just barely gotten started, right? We're just a couple of weeks into this. We have 5 more sessions, and I'm doing all of the work that helps support what the
Right.
work that we're doing within it. So I'm going to, for our session this week, Curtis, I'm going to send you my big goal. So that's what we're working on now, is like this big audacious goal, and going to be putting that into my subconscious so that I embody it now. I embody that future version of myself now,
Yes.
and so I'm really doing the work. And I think that that's so important, that if you want real profound results, you work, not just Curtis doesn't do the work for you. You do the work. You put the
Absolutely.
time into your values, into your goals, into understanding what's going on with yourself. Like after those first couple of sessions, I sent Curtis an email like, "Hey, here's what's going on." And because Curtis does this whole bespoke program, we maybe did something in, session number 2 or 3 that isn't part of his normal process, because I was sharing with him, "Hey, this is what's coming up for me." And we worked on that. So it might be a nervous system reset because of an emotion. It might be, okay, hey, this silence, I want to fill it with something. And I know I shouldn't. Help me be okay with the silence. And so that's what I think is making it even more of a powerful transformation, is that it's not just I show up to my sessions and I let Curtis lead me. We are co-creating this together, because I am engaged in this process, and I realize that I'm the one who has to do this work. Curtis is
Yes.
helping me on this journey. He is my guide through this journey, but I'm the hero of this story. And if I'm going to be the hero, I better do the work.
I love it. I love it. Well, I know we didn't talk about it, but I want you to share with the audience too about the bespoke daily mental supplements and how they
Yeah.
have actually affected your life.
Oh, I love them. So, what else is really cool about Curtis's program is that, based on what your greatest problem is, and based on what is coming up with what he calls the echoes. So there are echoes that are going to come up, right? Because if you have this voice that's been telling you, you are a certain way for 40 some years, like I have, it has tendrils that come back in and say, "Oh, but what about this, or what about this?" And so, because I am communicating with Curtis and telling him what's going on with me, he can customize my session based on that, and then he can give me a recording that you listen to that is very specific for the issues that you're going through. So he has given me the initial "I'm not enough" recording that I listen to every night and every morning. But now we've gone in and we've been fine tuning this, like that silence, being okay with the silence. He recorded a recording that helps me really be able to not fill that silence with something else. And then now he has gone through my values. And so I actually, when I'm doing self hypnosis on my own, I actually do it in Curtis's voice. I was like, "Okay, Carrie, we're going to take a deep breath and we're going to count down from 10 to 1." I literally, like, I don't talk to myself. It's Curtis talking to me, because I have listened to these very customized, specialized recordings that are made for me and my challenges and the things that I'm working on. And I think that that's what makes this program that much more powerful. It's not this generic system that he uses. He's like, "Okay, let's work on the exact issues that you have, your greatest problem, what those echoes are, and what you want for yourself in the future." And so this whole idea of a bespoke programming is really amazing, because it is made for you. But to make it powerful, as to make it truly, truly as powerful as it can be, you have to do that work. You have to go, what is going on
Yes.
inside of me? Not just saying, all right, Curtis, let's just do this next session. I think you will get results no matter what. But the next level to level up, it's really to start to understand yourself better and what's going on so he can customize it for you.
First of all, everybody has to understand about Carrie. She is who she is in every area of her life, right? When she does something, she's going to do it 110%. And even when we did the breakthrough session, I think we were done. I'm like, Carrie, we're already done. And she said, no, let's keep going. I'm like, okay, because she like figured it out really quick, and because she had already done a lot of work. And I'm like, Carrie, this is the greater problem. We can work on that tomorrow. We can do the calibration tomorrow. She said, no, let's start today. And we start clearing out stuff the same day. So yes, she is a special person. And what I can tell you is that the results will be the same regardless of who you are. And like she said, you have to be committed. I mean, I can only do what I do. I'm going to show up 100%, but you have to be there too, right?
Yeah, yeah, and I think, maybe the best way to put this is, and I recognize that not everybody's like me, and people don't understand themselves at that level, and that's simply just because of where we are at in the journey. It's no right or wrong.
Right.
We are just all where we are on our journey. I think that what I would say is that the stronger relationship you have with yourself, the more inquiry you do, the more you ask yourself, why am I feeling this way? And trusting what comes up, it helps you through this process. And you can actually, do more like what with Curtis and I've done, because you're taking the time to say, all right, I'm checking in with myself. And that work can be really uncomfortable. I am where I am because I had to look at myself and all the things I'm like, ugh, I do not like that about myself. I just don't like that. When someone called me self-centered for the first time, I really wanted to fight against it until I said, huh, okay, I have resistance around this. Maybe it's because there's some truth to this.
Right.
And then, so I started getting comfortable with, okay, I don't like that word, but it's just a word. What is my relationship with self-centeredness or selfishness? And because I taught myself how to be comfortable with that and examine it, it's allowed me to be more open. So wherever you are on your journey, I encourage you to not be afraid of examining those parts of yourself that make you feel uncomfortable, that you want to avoid, because the work can be that much deeper if you do that. If you live in a well-examined life.
I do. I agree with you. So what will be your recommendation to individuals who about this process and about what we've gone through, Carrie? What's your recommendation?
Yeah, I mean, I would say do the full blown session. So Curtis offers just the transformation session where you go through the MER and kind of that reset. But the follow up sessions have been just as transformational. Even though it's not like, oh gosh, the voice is gone. After those first two sessions, the voice was gone. And that would have been like, oh my God, amazing. But the follow-up work is been where we're fine-tuning, and fine-tuning those echoes has been really important, but laying the foundation, and more than just the foundation, laying down the new operating system, that is where the next level transformation is going to
Yeah.
have happen. And so it's so worth the investment to go through the 10 sessions coaching after you do the transformation session, because you can really get rid of those echoes and become, not just start to, and become the version of yourself that you were always meant to be, that you always have been, but that voice just told you that you weren't, and you listened for a lot of years.
Carrie, I mean, I appreciate you. I mean, this has been a journey for us, and we're still on the journey. Like I said, we've only worked together, believe it or not, I think less than 12 hours,
Yeah.
and you've done 10, 20 years of work in that length of time. It's like
Yeah.
amazing. And every time, and one thing about Carrie, I love her, is the fact that she embraced the fact that this was a bespoke experience, and she would send me a page of stuff. Curtis, this is what I'm doing. This is what I'm feeling. And this is what I'm going through. And when we get in the session, we just got to work, on doing it. And I don't coach you. We just reprogram
Yeah.
it.
Yeah,
Right?
I wouldn't describe. I mean, it's interesting, because I wouldn't describe you as a coach, not in the sense of the coaches that I've worked with,
Right.
because, we are doing some of this really that you were doing the programming work. And so, yeah, it's, I do feel like you do have, you're maybe like a third coach and like a third teacher and a third facilitator because I've learned so much from you too. And
Right.
I asked questions like, okay, like as we were going through my big goals, because I'm an overachiever, I'm like, Curtis, I have 5 things the 5 goals that I want to work on, and I want to lay all this down. And I was like, is this too much? And he was like, yes, it's too much. And here's why. And so he taught me, teaches me constantly, and guides me and redirects me when I let my overachiever tendencies take over. And then he facilitates through the reprogramming process. And so it is a really interesting program. It's not a traditional coaching program that maybe many of us leaders have done. It's part coaching, it's part teaching, and part facilitating the process. That's how I
Yeah.
describe it.
That's, so now you have something huge coming up soon. Your book is coming out. So kind
Yeah.
of share with the audience, how can they get in touch with Kerry? A little bit about your show, a
Sure.
little bit about your website and what you're doing right now, Kerry.
Yeah, absolutely. So, writing is my passion. It's my creative outlet. I love to speak too. I do a lot of keynotes, but writing is the foundation of all of my thought generation, thought process, thought synthesis, incubation, so to speak. So I have 2 books. The Ownership Mindset is my first one. It came out in October of 2023. Talk with Trust is my second book, and it's on how to have difficult conversations. One of my talents is working with really difficult people, and I have the ability to have very difficult conversations and do it in a way where people walk out going, "Oh my God, I feel so much better," even though I just heard something really hard that was hard to hear.
Right.
And I get asked in my keynotes all the time about how do I have these tough conversations? I avoid them, or I get through them so fast that I just blurt out and damage relationships. And so I said, okay, well, that's what my second book is going to be about. So Talk with Trust I share my feedback model. It's called the shares model, and it's how you prepare yourself and stay present when you have to have a difficult conversation. And so that's out in August. And you can find all of the information on my website, kerrysiggins.com. I also have a podcast. I've actually rebranded it just recently from Reflect Forward to the Kerry Siggins podcast. So you can find either way. And I talk about all of these types of transformations. And people tell me who listen, they're like, how I literally feel like you have a mole in my business. Like you have some sort of a recording device because everything that you talk about is something that I'm dealing with. And so I think that's what I do is that everything that I share is not theory. It's through scar tissue. It's through
There you go.
experience. It's through doing it and screwing it up and having to figure out how to fix it. And so I think that that's why people resonate with my work is because it's so real and I put it out there. And I
Right.
think that that's what people need because so often we're not saying these things because we feel as leaders, if I admit that I'm struggling with this, that somehow I'm not going to be seen as a competent leader. And I'm trying to make it safe to be able to have those conversations with yourself and others.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you, Kerry. Number one, thank you for the bottom of my heart. Number one, for trusting me
Yeah.
on your journey, and being a part of the facilitator of your journey. I mean, it's been a blast for me. I mean, that's one of the best hours of every week that I spend is
I
spending with you.
know. I look forward to it too. And,
And
I'm
so,
really excited about where this is going to go next. So we have a bespoke coaching program within StoneAge. My very first life coach that I worked with I guess almost 15 years ago. She is our company coach, and we work with the Enneagram. We call it this deep coaching program. And Curtis and I are going to experiment a little bit with how he can supplement what we do with some of my key employees who I think could really benefit. I mean, I think the whole world can benefit. I said to this a couple of sessions ago to Curtis that if everybody went through something like this and did this work, it would transform humanity. We would heal because so much of what's going on right now in the world is because we have leaders who are leading with their trauma. They're leading with their trauma, they're leading with their wounds, and they're leading with their ego because they can't actually look and say, oh, I can create a safe space, a safe world through
Right.
love, through connection, through growth, through empathy, rather than war and anger and greed and I don't know, siloing people.
Right.
And so if we all did this work and really understand what our wounds are and how we're leading with them, we will transform this world. And I think more and more people are waking up to this, and we just need to keep getting it out there to the world, because when you can let go of that negative programming that is driving you to do things that are not in alignment with your values, with love, with who you really are, oh my God, so much goodness can happen. You're not
Yeah.
making decisions because of fear or anger or jealousy or whatever it is for you.
Wow. Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys. Thank you guys for tuning in to the Legit Mindset. In today's episode, if it inspired you, it inspired me. Share it with a friend or leave a review with us. And if you're ready to uncover your own blind spot, you kind of get rid of your own backpack and elevate your potential, please book your free clarity call at bespokehumanpotentialcoaching.com. Remember, guys, real stories, real setbacks, real growth. That is the legit way. Carrie, once again, I love you. Thank
I
you
love you
for
too.
being a
Thank you for
part of
having
my
me.
life and my journey. I love you. Thank you.
Yeah, it's been so much fun. I'm looking forward to what comes next.
Yes. Guys, y'all have a great day.